Welcome to a special conversation happening at the sidelines of WAMPEX and WAMPOC here in Accra. My name is Bernard Avlev. We are at the AngloGold Ashanti stand to talk to two of their executives on a very important subject of community development initiatives and a particular focus on their malaria intervention. I have an exciting panel I'll be talking to when I come back. Stay with us. So we are here at the sidelines of the WAMPOC and WAMPEX, and I have here Emmanuel Baidoo, who's a Senior Manager for Community Relations at AngloGold Ashanti Africa. Mr. Baidoo, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Bernard.
It's good to have you.
Thank you.
Also privileged to have Mr. Asiedu, who is the Executive Director for AGAMal, which is the malaria intervention. Mr. Asiedu, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me.
It's a busy place. I hope you guys are enjoying. How is it going?
It's been very exciting. I think 2024 WAMPEX has come with some difference. The participation has been enormous, and I think the interest is very high this year.
And what about you?
It's been exciting and a great opportunity for us to also tell the public that we are not just mining, but we have a lot of community interventions that benefit the society.
That's a very good point, because many people think our mines as just exploiting the mineral. How important are community development initiatives to a company like yours?
That's a very interesting question, Bernard. I believe that for mining companies, we have come to that realization that investing in your community is really an integral part of the business. It's not a nice to have. So you need a lot of licenses and permits to be able to execute your mining, agenda. Some of them you go through regulatory provisions, but there is one license which is very critical. We don't buy it on the shelf, and that is your social license. And one of the ways of securing and maintaining your social license is an investment and a commitment to invest in the lives of the people, especially the host communities. So it is a business imperative for mining companies to invest in the communities within which they operate. It is a way of sharing the benefits of the exploitation, the mineral exploitation that is happening within their locality.
And has this always been an imperative and a core part of what you do, or is it a more recent phenomenon?
It's been part of it, but by the way it evolved. So the concept of benefit sharing, maybe in that thinking, might be fairly new, but the idea of businesses giving back to their communities, have stayed with us for so long a time, and even for us in Ghana. I mean, if you are a stranger, you go to a place and then you make some gains. It is always right, ethically, that you put back, into the lives of the people. So it is not a recent phenomenon, but probably how companies, undertake these interventions and the commitment they put into this is what, in my view, is deepening in recent times.
And is this for while you are within an active exploitation, or does this continue in the community when you are even done with the mine's lifespan?
Good. So along the entire value chain, the entire mining cycle, through your exploration, you still come in contact with the people. But obviously at every stage, and then through the development, and then post-development, and then at closure. But each of the stages actually informs some of the things that you can do, because it's also about investment. It's also about revenue. So if you are undertaking your exploration, you don't go and then make so huge commitment because you are not even sure whether you can run a viable operation. So there are support that you give to the communities or your stakeholders during that period. But when you come into your, beyond the development and you come into operations, when you are making money, then obviously it is right. So for us, throughout our exploration, along the entire cycle, we make a huge commitment to investing in our communities. Operations in Obuasi and AngloGold Ashanti, and then Idueprim, which are the two operations in Ghana, thankfully are all within operation phase. So we are making some revenue somehow. So we then need to give back to the community. Some of these commitments are based on some agreement with the government. For instance, with Obuasi and Idueprim, we have an agreement where we put in Obuasi $2 for every ounce of gold that is mined. We put it into a trust fund, which is managed by an entity, which then runs development programs in the communities. And then when you go to Idueprim, we have a similar, same vehicle, which is running. But beyond the legal commitment that the agreement with government somehow defines, we go an extra mile to invest. And when you come to both operations, the amount of money we invest in our communities beyond the trust fund support is even more than sometimes even 3, 4, 5 times than how much we put even into the trust fund, which is required.
Mr. Baidoo, communities have various needs. Do you have specific areas of intervention that you prioritize, whether it's education or health or business? Can you give us a sense of the areas of interest to AngloGold Ashanti?
Yes, development is a process, and there are a lot of needs that will feed into a development process. I mean, in you realizing the outcome. So eventually, for every development journey, you want a better betterment of life. But what is needed? What are the gaps? And normally you will find that because you're operating in a developing and of course somehow areas which there are a lot of disadvantages, you tend to have a lot of needs, a lot of gaps. But then you need to be strategic. What is our priority? And I believe that is what you are asking. What is our priority? What are we focusing on? What we do in AngloGold is that we don't sit in our offices and we don't do just a desktop kind of review to inform what is it that we want to focus on. We do a broad consultation with the communities and all who key stakeholders in, first of all, identifying the needs, and then 2, because we can be resource constrained, we say that what is a priority? So what do we prioritize? And in Ghana, in particular, Obuasi, we have subjected this process to the development of a 10-year socio-economic development plan, which has an overarching aim or goal with specific objectives, and then a number of interventions which have been identified with all the stakeholders to implement to meet these objectives. So within the 10-year plan, for instance, we are looking at investing in an area of education and skill development, in an area of health, in an area of SME entrepreneurship and entrepreneurship development, and then agriculture, and have been community infrastructure. But these are not just disjointed, initiatives. They feed into a well-designed and thought-through objectives that we want to achieve. And these are the areas that we work on with specific projects. In health, for instance, our malaria prevention or malaria project, which we have run for a number of years, is a flagship project in our 10 years.
Let Mr. Asiedu speak more about this. So he talks about health and malaria being the flagship. Talk to me about the AGAMal, what it is and what does it try to achieve?
In 2005, AngloGold Ashanti identified malaria as a threat to its operation in sub-Saharan Africa. At that time, the mine recorded from the Obuasi hospital about 6,800 inpatients every month.
Wow.
And this was costing the organization some amount of money to treat. Beside the treatment, when someone gets malaria and you are recovering, you have a slow pace at work. And anytime someone also get malaria, you take like 3 days off work. So that was affecting productivity, and it was affecting community development, because the malaria doesn't know discrimination and everyone in the community. So the mine, with the community interest in mind, decided to plan a malaria intervention, and that was a comprehensive one. So in 2006, they launched a comprehensive program that took care of a vector control site as well as a treatment. And with the vector control, they looked at indoor residual spraying and larviciding, and did some bed net distribution. The objective of the program was to reduce malaria incident by 50% within the first 2 years. But we were surprised to see all the intervention being put in place with education and monitoring. We recorded 74% reduction in malaria incident, and that was significant. So with that in mind, the mine again introduced this program to the National Malaria Elimination, currently National Malaria Elimination Program. And now the program has expanded beyond the mining community. We are spraying 16 districts in Ghana. The entire Upper West is under indoor residual spraying. 3 other districts in Upper East also under indoor residual spraying, in addition to what happens with the mine.
Wow. So what began as a response to a genuine situation within the mine is now in 16 communities.
Exactly.
You've reduced the 16 districts. So that's many more communities. Did you meet your target of 50% reduction, or you're beyond that?
We got beyond the target of 50%. Wow. We got to 74%. And when we started in Upper West, malaria incident prevalence for children under 5 was around 51%. As we speak, malaria prevalence has come to 13%.
Are you able to give us numbers around individuals who have benefited from the program? Because you are in 16 districts, which has many, many communities. And this program has been there since 2006. So that's probably 18 years. Can you quantify the number of people who have directly benefited from this malaria intervention?
The indoor residual spraying is done every year. And every year we protect 1.3 million people in Ghana against malaria within these 16 districts.
And how aligned is this to the National Malaria, I think it's elimination program. Initially it was called National Malaria Control. So now we've moved beyond control to elimination. How aligned and how core are you in that national effort?
We do our planning and work together with the national program. When we recorded a 74% reduction and we approached the program, National Malaria Elimination Program, they recommended Upper West because that region had the highest burden of malaria. So your best tools should be deployed in areas that will have the maximum impact. So in line with them, with their suggestion and their direction, we went to the Upper West. Every year's program is planned with them, and we currently also get support from the Global Fund.
But Mr. Baidoo, you said the thematic areas are health, education, local business development. Talk to me a bit about education and some of the interventions there.
In terms of education, our objective is to contribute to improving the quality of education delivery. A recent baseline we collected revealed that a significant number of children who go through school in Obuasi end up probably at the second cycle level. We have only a small proportion, out of that who are able to pursue tertiary level education. And obviously, education is critical for human resource development. There are human capital development initiatives. So we are looking at investing in education to improve human capital development. So we are focusing on at the tertiary level. I think most of you will know that we now have a university campus in Obuasi. A typical mining town started enjoying the bit of Cape Coast. And that is strategic enough to diversify the local economy. So we have given out our redundant assets, which was returned to government as part of our strategy and in collaboration with government, the Municipal Assembly, and then KNUST. KNUST ran a full campus in Obuasi using our assets, and of course with a yearly support from our budget. Beyond that university, we also have a number of second cycle institutions in Obuasi. My own alma mater, Obuasi Exec, a number of them that we support. Currently, we are putting up a robotics center of excellence in Obuasi. I think we probably might know that during COVID, students from Obuasi sector developed, exactly. So we see this is an opportunity we can help actually enhance. So we are investing in putting up that infrastructure. Apart from that, we invest in school furniture and then other infrastructure. At the basic level, and to be honest, that is really where our concentration is we want to be able to support improvement in the BEC pass rates. Obuasi is one of the districts or areas in Ghana where the BEC pass rate is predominantly high. But we need to have a qualitative, pass. So we are working with them to improve the BEC pass rate. That is Education Directorate. We started was around 80%, and currently it's over 90%. And this is through provision of school infrastructure, bridging the furniture gap, provision of teaching and learning materials. We are collaborating with Tumfuo Foundation to supply about 50,000 supplementary readers over a specified period of time. In addition to that, we are also investing in the soft areas, building the capacity of teachers. Recently we changed the education curriculum at the BC level. So through collaboration with the GAS, we brought in consultants who are training the teachers in the new curriculum, ensuring that we keep them abreast with the current and the modern trends, as far as teaching is concerned.
This is a special conversation coming to you at the sidelines of WAMPOC and WAMPEX here in Accra. I'm speaking to Mr. Emmanuel Baidoo, who you can really call Senior Manager Community Relations. You can become the sustainability guy here at AngloGold Ashanti. He's here with Mr. Samuel Asiedu, who is the Director of AGAMal, which is the intervention in malaria. You've spoken about two important social interventions, education and health. What about business? Because people need work, people need employment. Beyond education and health, do you do interventions in other areas like that?
Yes, Bernard, we do. Obuasi is a test case. When we went down on care and maintenance, we saw a once vibrant city become more or less a ghost city. It affected even the social fabric of the community. Partly because there wasn't any economic interventions which attract people. So with the Obuasi mine coming back, and in particular within the 10-year socio-economic development plan for Obuasi, our focus is, one of the areas we are investing is to contribute to diversifying the local economy. And I mentioned using education, but we are also deliberate in deploying some specific interventions in the area of agriculture, in the area of enterprise SME development, and in the area of industrialization. Last year, we launched what people have described so far the best of the partnership in that or collaboration that you can have between the two business entities, especially in the mining sector. We launched a partnership with Absa Bank, rolling out about 3-4 key projects, all of them, aimed at developing the capacity of individuals and small businesses to be able to grow, in their business. Obuasi, we also have a flagship program which we are currently working on. That is, we call them the Obuasi Industrial Park. So we have an area within Obuasi that we have reclaimed, and we are working with stakeholders and other partners to turn that area into a business park, which we believe will help boost, the local economy. In the area of agriculture, even though we mine gold in Obuasi, but if you take the Adansi enclave, it's a predominantly, an agriculture, area. So we are investing hugely in agriculture in terms of supporting individual farmers and groups to go into agriculture, vegetable and other crops. One important project that we also implementing there is what we call the Climate Resilient Oil Palm Project. A vast area within Obuasi has been destroyed by small-scale or artisanal mining activities. Some of them along the Jimmy River, a river in Obuasi. So we are working with stakeholders to bring these, the land along these areas back. And a productive way of doing it is to support the farmers to own oil palm plantation along this area. And the plan is that if you are able to do this, within the 10 years, we should have over 5,000 hectares of oil palm. And the associated value chain, investments, people come up and set up industry. We know someone who is looking at setting up a factory to ensure that they take on all that is being produced there. In terms of animal production, we are investing in piggery. Currently, that project is ongoing to feed into a market. There's an existing market in Obuasi. There's someone who has set up a factory that is processing. So we are supporting the outgrower base. We've seen an opportunity for fish farming, and we are currently working in establishing some project along the fish farming space to support individual farmers who are already into fish farming in Obuasi.
So you mentioned a lot of things you've done. I suspect a bulk of them are within the Obuasi side. What about Iduaprim?
Thankfully, we run similar programs in Iduaprim. The piggery project I mentioned in Obuasi, for instance, is built on the experience we have had in Iduaprim. Iduaprim is running one of a very thought-through program in piggery production, working with the University of Cape Coast. We started a pilot project in fishery in Iduaprim, and it is proving to be a very sustainable economic development intervention. So we've set up a huge fish production business in Iduaprim, which is run by the community, providing fresh catfish, supporting food security in the area. Apart from that, we've also used some of the land that is available within our concession, supported the farmers actually to go into rice production. This is in the area of economic development. In the area of education development, you see, interestingly, most of the community, and especially in Takwa, we are working in the communities which are somehow a bit remote. And then if it had not been our presence in these communities, it would take them a little longer time to share within the benefit, of, the smaller cake that the assembly has to distribute. And we believe that our presence in those communities has really cushioned, the effort of the district assembly. So in terms of education, we have dotted education infrastructure at the basic school level in all these communities with teachers' accommodation. Recently, we completed and commissioned a health center in one of our key communities, AGA. It started as a very small clinic, and through our support, we've been able to lift this up and then giving them a befitting infrastructure, which it could even rank something higher than just a health center. So we are very much on the ground in all the communities that we work in, even not only in Ghana, but even wherever we work, especially in my case in Africa. We are very much on the ground working with the communities.
Listening to the two of you, I can see some of your values, particularly sustainability when you look at how you integrate your work with the National Control Program. But of the 6, I like collaboration. Can you talk a bit about the collaborations you do in all these projects? Because it's, in my view, collaboration enhances sustainability in terms of these interventions. So first you talk a bit about that, and then you also, the issue of collaboration. Who are your key collaborators?
But we must say that we are very deliberate when it comes to collaboration. So if you look at our 10-year plan, in both our AGA and Obuasi, one of the focus areas is to develop partnerships, sustainable partnerships. So we are deliberate in looking at actors, partners, collaborators, stakeholders who can come in so we all work together. So at both Obuasi and AGA, we work closely with the traditional leaders first of all, with the communities who themselves are beneficiaries, but they are also stakeholders because they are part of the decision making. We work with closely with the traditional leaders because every project which requires land, they are the custodian of the land and they have to give out land. So we work closely, get their input and bring their aspirations into those interventions. And then the local government agencies, the municipal and district assemblies. In Obuasi, we have 5 municipal district assemblies. In Takwa, AGA, we have 2 municipal assemblies that we work with. And then they are decentralized agencies. So any project we implement in education, we work with the Education Directorate, even sometimes up to the regional level and the national level. So in terms of the local government actors, these are the ones we work with. And then also some institutional partners and then development partners. I mentioned, for instance, the ABSA Bank. We collaborating with GIZ, the development agency for German Development Corporation. So we are working with them implementing our community health program. AGAMal here, which is even our subsidiary, we work with them as partners. We collaborate and he mentioned some of the interventions we work closely on. And then a number of them. And it's something that we continue to do.
Collaboration or partnership is in our blood, and it's some of the things that we do. It reflects in almost all the work that we do. I would quickly make mention of 3 levels. On the ground, at the community level, with the community leadership, opinion leaders, the youth leaders, mothers groups, the churches, the Muslim groupings, we have to work together. You know, indoor residual spraying is spraying the rooms of people. How can I get to your bedroom without you knowing what I want to do? And when I'm spraying, you are not in the bedroom. You should trust me enough to leave me in your bedroom, knowing well that I'm going to do a good job. So you have to really collaborate on the ground. The community acceptance is key. At the district level, the district health management team, the regional health management team, we have to work along with them. National level, NMEP, Ghana Health Service, we have to collaborate. At the global level, we have the WHO, World Health Organization, Robot Malaria, the Vector Control Working Group, and many other international agencies. He made mention of GIZ. Recently, we are talking to JICA to get into more partnership. We have been doing a lot of partnership, even with some Israeli companies that are helping with softwares for larvicidin. So partnership or collaboration is in our blood, internally and externally. We have to do that.
Mr. Asiedu, malaria is big. You've done a lot in malaria, but I'm sure that intervention has other health interventions you integrate with to achieve broader health objectives. Can you talk about that and also some plans for the future in relation to the health intervention?
Let me take a step back. With the various interventions that he made mention of, building the capacity and employment opportunity, AGAMal, at the peak of our operation every year, we engage about 1,300 people to spray for a period of 4 months. And that provides some form of temporary employment. Looking into the future, currently as we speak, malaria prevalence for Obuasi East with our last research work that we did in around November 2003, we realized malaria prevalence has gone 0.9%, very low. So what we intend to do, we have started adding larvicidin to also help bring incidence and look at a possible malaria elimination from the Obuasi enclave. The larvicidin is spreading, and we want to sustain that. The other thing that we also realized during the COVID time was the practice of hand washing and sanitation at homes and at schools also helped reduce diseases like cholera and other waterborne diseases. So we have started an education program that aims at improving sanitation and also providing a couple of facilities with the help of AngloGold, providing facilities that would help improve sanitation in these areas. So these are few items that we are handling, and in connection or in collaboration with the Mine Hospital, AngloGold Ashanti Health Foundation, we are also offering a number of community interventions, and that looks at general well-being of people in Obuasi and beyond. And again, I can confidently say that the Mine Hospital is also looking at becoming a tertiary or reference point for people within the Ashanti region. Just like you have the Kolebu and the Komfuanoche, we want to establish another tertiary point where major health services are provided to community members.
So you've mentioned many partners and collaborators, but I haven't heard anything about private sector. What's your message to the private sector?
I will use this opportunity to encourage the private sector. The public sector needs you. We need to come together, work with the National Malaria Elimination Program, invest into malaria elimination, and we will have a better Ghana eliminating malaria from our country.
Finally, Mr. Baidoo, what's the future looking like? You've done so much work, but I'm sure there's still a lot of work to be done. Tell us about your outlook for the future.
Definitely, there's a lot of work to be done. We believe development is a process, and our contribution to the development process also has to be infinite. We launched a 10-year socio-economic development project or plan in Obuasi. We are looking forward to launching the same in Idueprim in the next couple of months. The objective is to continue to push very hard to implement all the interventions and then be deliberate about tracking impact, because there is one thing investing and there is one thing knowing whether you are really impacting on the lives of people. So we want to be very deliberate about measuring the impact we are making in the lives of people through these interventions.
Thank you very much, Mr. Baidoo. Thank you very much, Mr. Asiedu. So you heard it all. Targeted, collaborative interventions, measurable impact based on respect, integrity, safety, and of course, sustainability. We've been talking to two very important people at the sidelines of WAMPEX and WAMPOC, Mr. Emmanuel Baidoo. He is the Senior Manager for Community Relations here at AngloGold, Ashanti Africa, and Mr. Samuel Asiedu is the Director for AGAMal, explaining to us their interventions. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.